Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Relentless Talk Radio. This is the Video Lab, an entrepreneur's guide to creating video. And Scott Warren and I are here online. I'm going to apologize in advance. We have upgraded the internet in my new studio. It should be better next week, but we might have some breakage today. If we do, we might reshoot this episode, but we're going to just go ahead and try and see what happens, right? You know,
live,
right? This is Relentless. I mean, we just do what we do, you know?
The unpredictability of live.
Well, the unpredictability of life right now, right? I mean, we're just talking about that.
Live, but life, yes.
Yeah, like right now during it's funny because we're recording these for posterity for a membership site that we're creating called Go Digital Faster. So many years from now, people will be hearing about COVID. We'll be updating videos as we go along, but it's kind of interesting that we're going through like a real unprecedented thing right now. Unprecedented thing. Unprecedented is kind of a weird word. We hear it a lot lately too. But you know, we were just talking about all of our times being completely off. Like, have you not? Well, you have a new baby, so.
Yeah, well, that's an added layer to it all, right? And, you know, like, you know, we were talking earlier before we came online, and you know, just up at 3 a.m. responding to emails because I'm up with the baby. And it's like, well, if I'm just sitting there holding a baby, might as well just be productive while I'm at it, you know. So
we were, and I'm getting our notes open for our broadcast today. But yeah, we were talking about the fact that I was up at 3 a.m. So you should have just PM'd me. You should have texted me. I could have sang a lullaby to the kid, and you could have.
Well, luckily for me, it's she's not up screaming because she's unhappy. She's up and happy and because she's ready to play and start her day. So if there's a silver lining, at least it's that, and I'm not trying to force a screaming baby to go to sleep. It's just, you know, I just get up with her and put her in her little playpen out in the living room and just kind of wait for her to burn that energy off so she can go back to sleep.
Well, that's what happens to me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Quite honestly, like my brain wakes me up thinking and dreaming and what's next and how do I fix this or that, or, you know, and so, but this child actually has got a survival technique that is very good. She's so positive and lovely and sweet that you can't kill her at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. So that's really the only saving
grace. You probably, you know, have a harder time.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a lot worse. Like I said, she could be screaming at 3 a.m, but she's just wide awake and happy and smiling and laughing and ready to play, ready to go, you know. So I guess I can't complain too much about that. So
yeah, no, I got it. You got a little thing that's waking you up. So today we're talking about YouTube SEO for beginners.
Yes.
And it's funny, I'm double checking the header, making sure I didn't typo on it. We're really lucky I didn't. So, you know, this has been one of my big pushes this year. I have about 250 videos on YouTube, and really, when I created my YouTube channel, it really was just as a relationship builder.
Yeah.
I wasn't really worried about people finding it. It wasn't my main purpose anyway. When I interviewed people, I wanted them and their peeps to be able to see their interview. And for the people that I interviewed, to repurpose the video maybe for their website or for their email marketing. But really, it was more of a tool in the Dale Carnegie way, is that everyone loves to hear about themselves. It was really more of a tool to have that person hear and see that I heard them. Right. So I wasn't really worried about SEO in the beginning. But now, as I've been building Relentless Talk Radio, my goal this year is this year, that word is, I would say by the end of next year, by the end of December next year, I think we're going to call 2020 a do-over. But I'd like to be at 20,000 subscribers by the end of next December.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my numbers yesterday. I've actually had almost 12,000 visitors to Relentless Talk Radio, and 98% of them don't subscribe. So that's news for me. Yeah. I have to find a way to get people to stop and subscribe. So I think actually one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to say before each video, hey, by the way, and I've seen people do this and I think it's stupid, but it must work because everybody does it. Hey, by the way, at the end of the video or during the video, if you find value in this, please do subscribe. So I think I'm going to add a little.
Yes. And in fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is one of the tips that I was going to suggest towards the end of today was, I'm making that mention. kind of
And
help people see future content by subscribing. So that's one way. That's one approach and tactic that you're going to want to implement.
I think the reason why I haven't done it has been one reason, is that I just take the raw footage and I take it from BeLive and I load it to YouTube, because there's only so much I can do during the day. And to take it and put it into Premiere or into other video editing and put that little piece in there is tough. It takes time. It would take me about between 15 and 30 minutes, let's say, right?
Well,
so if you multiply that times how many times that shows I do a month, it adds up. So I think what I'm going to do is at the beginning of each broadcast, I'm going to say that in the broadcast. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, click subscribe so you can get more episodes.
Yeah, there's another tactic that we can talk about offline.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
That can help with that. Today is really focused. I mean, we're focused on you, because like what you can create this amazing cinematic, really high production value video, right, and put it up on YouTube, and it won't matter, because if people can't find it when they're searching in YouTube, it doesn't matter. None of that.
It doesn't exist. Right?
Yeah, it's all done in vain, right? So that's really where YouTube, and I'm not even quite sure that they could see when they first created YouTube. I'm sure they could see kind of what the future was going to be like, but there's also a bit of unknown within that too. And I'm not quite sure that they fully knew kind of what YouTube what it would become to what it is now, right?
Well, who would have thought? Let's talk about that for a second. I was just coming out of college it was about 1991 or 1990 when the internet started to like, hey, there's this thing kind of happening.
Yeah.
And at the time, my ex-boyfriend, who's still a very good friend of mine, had a friend who had a hosting company in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And he was selling hosting for them. And I look back on that time now, you know what? He always had a pretty good intrinsic sense of what was going to be big. He knew it was going to be big, but neither one of us or the hosting company could possibly have foreseen how the internet was going to change our life, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
YouTube has become so important during COVID because everyone's going to YouTube for everything right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay, so let's talk about this in terms of getting the visibility, right? And this is why we wanted to touch on this. And this is something like me as a of a video content creator.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that I've really thought about a lot until the last few years.
It's because you got into business for yourself,
right? Exactly. As more independent, like I don't have to rely. I don't. I created my part of the production assembly line is the creation of it, the producing of it, and then when that final product is done, you hand it off to, all those folks that handle the back end of the SEO and that sort of thing, right? But until you start taking over control of front to back of that entire process, you really have to start learning a little bit about what makes that search engine work, and how you can optimize your description, your title, your headlines, and even now, and I'll get into this part a little bit more. Even now, like the keywords you choose are what dictates the content that you're creating, if that makes any sense. So, and I can break that down a little bit more in a minute. But I wanted to
what an algorithm is first, though, because I think a lot of people don't even get that part of it.
Right.
I was talking to somebody the other day about.
Yeah, and it totally all plays into that. Okay, listen. So like, YouTube is the second, I believe it's the second largest search engine in the world, next to Google. Well, they're owned by Google, right? So what you're trying to do is you want to do it twofold, right? It's a two-pronged approach. You want to make sure that you're optimizing your video descriptions and the video that you're uploading to be searchable and findable on YouTube, but at the same time, you also want it to be searched to show up in a Google search as well, right? And if you do it in the right way, it's very similar.
They're different.
You do it slightly. I mean, but if you do it in the right way, when no matter what someone does, if they go to Google to search for something, it'll show up. If you go to YouTube, it'll show up at a high rank. That's your goal, is you want to get it ranked as high as possible, so people don't have to. The lower down the list it goes, the less likely you're going to get a click on it. Okay, so
if you're really not on the first page or even maybe the second page of a Google search, no one's going to click on you.
it's hard. It's
Like you don't exist.
yeah. I mean, people don't. There's data out there that proves this. You know, people will rarely go to page 2. It's usually within the first 5 listings when they search. So the difference between YouTube and Google when you search is the algorithm works slightly different in that YouTube, it's based on engagement. If you're showing that you're getting engagement on your video, it's going to it's called juice, right? They give you more juice, or they reward you with that juice that helps promote your listing at a higher rank. Okay. And there's other factors that are involved with that, but just kind of roughly foundationally, the way the algorithm works for YouTube, it's about engagement, right? So likes, subscribes, commenting, that sort of thing. If you're producing something that has high engagement, the algorithm is going to reward you with that. So that's what you're looking for, and that plays into how you're creating your content, topic wise, the way it's cut together, that sort of thing.
And I guess I also kind of intuitively know that, because part of my plan was that the people who I am working with will share their video with their friends, and they're actually organically helping me to create traffic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because think about it, right? The reality of it is Google is an advertising company, right? That's the truth.
They're not a search engine company. They are an advertising company.
That's the true essence of what they're doing, right? And so the idea is like they want to keep their viewers on YouTube as much as possible, because more video views equals more ads shown, which equals more money in the bank. Okay. So
are we going to touch on the whole ad thing with YouTube as far as how many listeners, followers, time? Can we touch on that briefly? Because people wonder, how do you get paid on YouTube? You get paid by increasing your number of subscribers to at least 1,000, and have your hours viewed, I think, be 400. I think that's what it is. You have to have so many.
I'd have to do a little bit more digging on that. I don't. I'm not on YouTube to try to make money. Me personally.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing that I will find. I can find answers on that, but
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's what it was the last time I checked. You had to have 1,000 subscribers or 400. We'll have to look back on it. In fact, I'll look for it while we're talking. So keep going.
Okay. Well, right, well, let's talk about more now. The big thing, and I've said it so many times on other topics around the show. It's keywords. Right. So the difference, though, with YouTube, and Michelle, this is going to help you out, I believe, quite a bit, is a lot of time you should spend on researching keywords, key phrases. Right. So because that's what should be dictating us a majority of the content that you want to create. Okay. Because you want to find out, what are people searching. Right. And the easiest way to do that, and we've all seen it, when you go into Google or YouTube and you start typing in something that you want to search, it starts auto-populating search queries, like phrases and words, right? Well, those are there because they're auto-populating those suggestions because those are high volume search queries on YouTube and Google. So those are indicators to you of what people are searching for, right? And that's free. You don't have to pay money for a third-party application to help you research that, right? That gives you a great idea of what people are searching. So that can help guide the topical content that you might want to create. Okay. Now, what I would do is I would suggest doing that exercise with a bunch of different phrases and topic ideas based around what your focal point is on, like whether for your business or your brand or whatever, right? Build out that list, right? And then you could easily, like, I don't have these third-party, it's like the main one that I know of is called Ahrefs. It's a lot of digital marketing agencies.
Say it again.
Ahrefs, Ahrefs. and that's a digital marketing tool that's used to help find and pinpoint what they call long tail and short tail keywords. And it gives you data behind those keywords, like search volume, how many times it's used. That way you can pick and be more strategic about the keywords that you want to focus in on. Because obviously if you're trying to rank on a keyword or a key phrase that's pretty saturated, that's already been used so much, you're not going to have a good chance of ranking high on that, because it's been dominated and saturated with other people using that keyword in their content, right? So you
Right.
want to find a similar type of keyword or phrase that has a lower saturation point, that makes it a little easier for you to rank on, but it has a volume level that is being used quite a bit. It's just no one's been able to pinpoint that particular phrase to then that way you can rank higher on that one. There's some
Like another thing, I think it's important to know what the purpose of your YouTube channel is, because all of this takes time.
Yeah,
and is this the best use of your time? Like if you're just using it for relationship builder, no big deal. If you're just using it to store your videos to send your 10 clients to, no big deal. But if you're really wanting to grow your traffic on YouTube and get traction on YouTube, then it behooves you to take time to do this.
It absolutely does. And listen, there's no reason why you would, as a small business, funds are limited as a small business. You're the marketing department, you're the owner, you're doing 10, that sort of thing. You can hop on like a Fiverr or an Upwork and just source, pay a little bit of money and say, hey, these are some keywords I researched. Can you use one of your tools and help me determine what the best volume is?
So I'm familiar with Upwork. I use them for my bookkeeping, actually. I just began which is awesome. I have a guy in India that I'm working with who's just fantastic. But what was the other one?
Fiverr, Fiverr.com. I trust Upwork a little bit more, but
Fiverr or Fiverr?
Fiverr. F as in Frank.
Yeah, I know about Fiverr. Okay, great.
Yeah. But I trust Upwork a little bit more. However, it's there's a billion digital marketers out there that utilize these types of tools, and they might be able to come back with some additional words and key phrases that they determine like, oh, these are good opportunities here. So you can focus on that, because those keywords are going to dictate what type of content you're going to create. Now, you don't want to always be creating keyword focused content, right? But those are the ones that are going to help you get more visibility, get people to like, comment, subscribe. That's the key, subscribe.
Sorry.
And then that way you can make other types of content that aren't so keyword focused, right? So there's a bit of a long-term play for this. But you don't want to totally focus on just keyword focused video content when you upload stuff to YouTube. Okay, but this is about visibility. That's our focus. And so finding the right keywords are going to help you gain more visibility, because it's based off of the intent of the searcher, right? So if I'm looking to replace something on my car, and I'm an auto shop, right? A mechanic shop, right? And I'm looking for, how do I replace my air filter in my 2000 Mitsubishi Montero, right? Those are indicators. Those are intents, right? So that's what you want to do. So how to replace air filter, right? That would be my key phrase, because those are what people search. The how-tos, how do I?
Well, this is a really good thing to think about, because by starting with the end in mind, by thinking about your end user and what they might be searching for, it really actually could change how you're delivering your content overall. By thinking about how you're being
exactly, and that's a guide. It serves as a guide, right? So, like I said, if we want to use the mechanic shop for cars, right? Like, so obviously tutorials, like how-to videos, are big in that space. So you're going to want to have some of those incorporating these keywords. Those are going to help you get seen, right? And that way, if you're optimizing the description in the right way, you're going to start getting ranked higher, and that'll be the first person, the first 5 or 10 that show up in someone's search query when they say how to replace an air filter, right? And that's what you want.
And, as you've been chatting, I've been looking for how to get paid on YouTube. So, because, the numbers are always changing, because I've looked several times, it was 1,400. So really the best advice we can give you, if you're going to look towards getting advertising dollars on YouTube, getting paid from YouTube, go check right away. But even when I'm searching how to get paid on YouTube, that's an interesting thing to think about. Like, if people are going to be searching for you, they're going to be searching for certain things. And so you might want to have, because lots of things came up that weren't about what I was looking for.
Right.
Well, playing on that, someone could be looking for something different, and then your thing could be their solution, and they accidentally found you because they were searching for how to get paid on YouTube. That's also a unique approach too. I was thinking,
and that's where the
I can't find it easily because there's so much stuff on there.
Well, that's where your tags come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have when you upload a video, you can add tags, okay? And every search, whether it's a phrase or a particular word, will have secondary like related search terms and search phrases that people use, like variations, right, of that one search that one search term or phrase that you have. So that's where you want to incorporate those secondary keywords and phrases into your tags, because when something like that happens, that's where those tags come into play, because they're slightly broader in scope, right? They may not be a Mitsubishi Montero, but because your tags, it's showing up in those search queries because of the type of tags that you put in there.
So to clarify, keywords are basically what you're using in your description. Strategically, you're using those in your description. And then tags are in the background. When you're uploading your video, there's a space to the right where you can add stuff, or add it in the background of your video.
Yeah, it's all in the back end.
And YouTube video yet. Once you're loading your video, it gives you a whole setting structure. And the tags is literally not a pull down menu, but it's a space where you can put in different tags. But your keywords are what you're using inside the description area. It's basically your copy. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, my description area was written by Scotty, keeping these things in mind. So we've been proactively putting these descriptions in place for the Video Lab and Go Digital Faster, thinking about this way. So I just want to clarify on that.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. And so it's not just a description. It should be in the title.
Okay.
It should be the title of your video.
Oh, yes.
The keyword should be in part of your title.
Okay.
But then also you should be saying it in your video as well, which if it's your title, then you will, right?
Actually, the YouTube is actually searching the video, literally the words you're saying.
It can sense that, but also like if you are like doing a transcription of it, right, which I highly recommend.
Good point, because
that keyword is in the transcription of it as well.
Right.
That's another play into it, right? You want to maximize your ability to get that ranking. So it will read all that, it senses all that, and it boosts based off of what you're doing to optimize. So
it's interesting for me to think about that, because I've been working with a new influencer client and taking FTC guidelines into account. And, one of the things the FTC states is that you not only need to put it in your description, but you need to actually say it in your video. So that makes even more sense to me now, because they can search that way. So that's good to know. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So let me give you an example for this episode, right? I do research for all our episodes to kind of supplement and validate what my experience and my own knowledge. And what I did was I Google search to see what popped up in the auto suggestions of SEO, beginner SEO for YouTube. That's what I typed in. Okay. And then I looked at a couple variations, and that's how I came up with the title for today's episode, YouTube SEO for beginners. So I moved some of the words around to create a more unique phrase for this episode, but it's still, so the key word is literally YouTube SEO for beginners. So the whole title is actually the whole keyword phrase in this instance. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but you could also search how to SEO for YouTube, how, that sort of thing.
Right.
Those types of variations. That how-to aspect was a little saturated, so I wanted to try to go a different direction. But that's what I did, and then I put it in the description of today's episode, and I wrote it this is what the episode description says. We're talking about YouTube SEO for beginners. That's the first sentence of that in this episode description, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to incorporate it in a conversational way. So you don't want to be like you don't want to make it sound fake and inorganic.
Well, that actually will move
part.
down the rankings if you just kind of pop in keywords that aren't real language. They're just tossed in there to try and, you actually have to use it conversationally for it to
Yes, because the algorithms both on Google and YouTube
down
see that. They actually deduct points from you, so it hurts your ranking. You know, it's everything. The very basic takeaway from today is it's all about how you please the algorithm, right? So it's understanding how the algorithm works and then doing the things that the algorithm likes to maximize your opportunity to get your video content seen.
You know, as you're talking, I'm thinking about my friend who is the creator of FTA Adventures, Tim Collins.
Yeah.
He used to be 40 times around, and then he created FTA Adventures. And when we were talking about a year and a half ago, he was just trying to get over 6,000 subscribers. This morning, he has 53.8 thousand subscribers. And these are the things that he's doing in his videos. He does it's all about motorcycle adventure, camping, that kind of thing. And I just 53,000 subscribers. Good for you, Tim. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally awesome, but it takes work, right? Like that's
100%. Yes,
and that would be my suggestion to any brand, small brand or business out there. If just got to decide, okay, like is that what you want to do? Is growing your YouTube presence what you want to focus on, and that's what you do. You focus in on that, and you spend the next year just all in on that and really like doing everything you can to optimize and get your content seen and grow your followers, right? Yep. And then once you have that audience built, you know, then you can really start, okay, well, let me move on. Okay, now I want to grow my Instagram more and that sort of thing.
Right. And I think you have a good point there. You can't do everything at once. So I focus first on Facebook, okay? And then loading to YouTube, and I've just started to add Instagram television, but you do have to make a decision on what you're going to focus on first, because you can't do it all at once. You just can't. So I focus on Facebook. I've been basically loading YouTube in preparation to focus on YouTube. So I've been focusing on YouTube, but in stages, right? So now I've got about 250 videos or something on YouTube, and I can start to go back and hire somebody to go into each one of those descriptions and update them so that they're the most effective they can be for me.
Yes. And so just to give the folks out there an idea, the three like most common searches are going to be the how-to videos, how to change a tire.
Yeah.
Tutorials on learning how to do something. So learn long division, and reviews of product reviews. Which
Tony Robbins has a big training going on right now about the education industry, basically, that if you have it's never been a better time to monetize that. And he has an entire week-long training that's happening for free, actually. It's been amazing. I've been able to look at watch every bit, but it's the how-to industry is a big deal. What are the other two?
The other two are how-tos.
Yeah.
The learning, and then the product reviews.
Huh. So how to do something, and then number two is a learning. Like, what's the difference? Just learning generally is different than a how-to.
Like
education.
Exactly. So like I want to learn how the YouTube algorithm works.
So I want to learn higher, or a deeper learning, which is basically how does the algorithm?
Let's say more how-tos are more action-based.
Okay.
Learning is knowledge-based.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is super interesting to think about. If those are the three things that are being viewed on YouTube, that does shift it makes me think about shifting a little bit. Well, I guess I kind of intrinsically knew that by creating the video lab and Go Digital Faster, the how-to educational thing. I kind of intrinsically knew that.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's not to say that people are still on YouTube for entertainment purposes, right? Your other show is also an entertainment tool, right? You're talking about subjects and topics. Your main Relentless Talk radio show is also an entertainment tool, just like a podcast. People listen to various types of podcasts for purely entertainment, but they also learn stuff along the way. Right.
Well, I think that the main purpose of Relentless Talk Radio was to create relationships, but also it was to inspire and educate. So yeah. So I love that.
You have a unique blend of a combination of those factors within it, right? And then obviously we have the video lab here where it's either how to or learning, information based type of a content, right? So I mean, and I think you're doing a great job with that. It's just now, as you kind of said, it's about getting
it's drilling down now. Yeah.
Getting that content seen more widely as opposed to that. So just to recap though, like it's what they call like the 3 T's: the title, the tags, and the transcription. I would say focus on that, just generally. If you try to focus on making sure those are on point, that'll certainly help, right? And then there's a tons of research out there, and articles and from digital marketing agencies that provide those types of bits of information that you can dive a little bit deeper on and kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit more to really kind of propel your channel.
This is making me think too, because one of the things I'll be doing moving forward is re-sharing older episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm charging. I've offloaded this to a combination of someone that I'm going to be working with on Upwork for SEO and the admin that I just hired to go into each one of my videos that are older, recreate a thumbnail, which is important to have. A thumbnail is a cool picture as opposed to just a screenshot of your video. And then going in and rewording my SEO. And these are things to keep in mind as I'm giving direction to those people. So this is awesome timing for me, Scott. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the thumbnail. This again is I was wanting to be very kind of foundational, but you mentioned a great thing about the thumbnail. So if you just, the thumbnail is huge, right? Because the thumbnail is what's shown when your search population comes up, right? You type in your phrase. And obviously that thumbnail, it needs to be eye-popping, right? Because you want it to pull their attention from all the other options. Like, oh, I'm going to click on that because the thumbnail is the hook when you have a search population come up.
Gary Vee is brilliant at this. His thumbnails are awesome. It's like your billboard. So for those of you who don't know what a thumbnail is, it's basically when you go to YouTube, it's the picture that you see when you look at all the YouTube options, right? And that also is a back office deal. So when you're downloading your video, you can either allow YouTube to choose a moment in time on your video, or you can upload a thumbnail. Now you can create your thumbnail in an application like Photoshop, which is where I'm creating them right now. Or I'm also using a combination of Photoshop and Canva. So Canva is a free application. They do have pre-sized thumbnail designs that you can use, and then you can just upload literally right from your phone if you're uploading your YouTube from your phone, or you can save it to your photos and grab it off your drive using your laptop, or your laptop or your desktop. So a thumbnail is basically a picture, and it's important because when I first started doing my YouTubes, I just did a banner at the top, and it was too small for people to see. You could see it when you were watching the video, but you couldn't see it on the thumbnail. So I have to go back and create thumbnails for versions of things I did 4 years ago, and I'm doing that one video at a time.
Yeah. it'll take a little bit because you have a lot of content already uploaded, but I mean, it'll be worth it in the long run.
Yep.
Plus, it gives you a more cleaner, professional look
Yep.
to your brand and your channel overall. So that's a great tip for all the new YouTube users that are looking to get into it a little bit more out there.
And another thing that I've been thinking about is I had a couple weeks ago, I had somebody not be able to make, just too short of notice. They had to make a shift in the schedule. And I thought, well, I could just reshare something.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of resharing episodes, like I have so many episodes at this point that resharing episodes of my art projects, for example, while I'm not making art, good idea, because that kind of reintroduces my art to people who don't know it and reacclimates the people who've forgotten that I was doing that with it. So
yeah.
YouTube is super powerful. You have all that content hanging out there. You can repurpose it in lots of different ways. And you can always go back and change your description, change your title, upload a new thumbnail. That's a really cool thing about YouTube.
Yeah. So if if you're a business or brand that has already have your channel and you're kind of disappointed by the traffic that you're getting to it, you can just go back in and kind of learn what you've heard today, and you can do some supplemental research on your own and go back and optimize those descriptions, change your title, add tags in if you've never added tags in there. And also there's some metadata information that you can add in there that's also going to help quite a bit, because you want the algorithm will read that metadata as well. So I highly suggest if that's the case for you, spend a little bit of time, block in, at least an hour a week, even to kind of chip away at it. You don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
But chip away at it, and it'll help over time.
And you also don't need to know what you don't need to know until you need to know it. Like, I've been aware of FTC, the Federal Trade Commission guidelines since I started the idea of influencing. But now that I'm more actively having folks pay for influencing, you do have to, if you are an influencer and you are getting if you are getting a barter situation, or you are getting like a trade for services, or you are getting cash from a client, you need to actually say in your video, this is sponsored by so-and-so.
Oh yeah.
In your description, and it needs to be noted clearly that you are being sponsored, because fair advertising means that you are saying, if I were to say to you, you know what, I really love Canva, but Canva was paying me to say that, I have to tell you, Canva has paid me to tell you how much I love it.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's potentially misleading information. So if you are looking to use YouTube for an influencer type thing, you need to drill down into that. And I just, recently, because I'm just starting to, add those types of clients actively into my mix.
Yeah.
It's something that moving forward, I really need to understand. I added that into my contract, had a conversation with my attorney yesterday to make sure I'm up on that. So, it's, you don't know what you don't know until you need to know it. And there's no point in like digging down into legal documents until it's necessary. But when it's necessary, you need to spend a little time doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I hope that everyone got some value out of that today. I hope it puts you at least on the right path. And you can take a little bit what you've learned here and what we've discussed, and maybe do a little bit more research on your end, and it'll really help in the long run. Get some more traffic to your content on YouTube.
So if you have listened to this video and it all sounds like Swahili, then you can reach out to Scott and I on at meetwithmick.com and get a free consultation. We'll take a look at what's going on for you, potentially set up an opportunity for us to do some work for you, or point you in the right direction. So you just go to meetwithmick.com and ask for the Video Lab consultation. And we will be back here again every second and fourth Thursday at 7 a.m.-ish. We try to be done by 7:30. But sometimes we go over like we did today. We try like hell. We're 9 minutes over today. But I really hope that you've gotten some value out of this. And also, if you find out something that we didn't mention, or we've said something that's changed, please do feel free to put in the comments below in this Facebook comment, because things are changing all the time, and we want to make sure we are on top of it too. And if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, subscribe. Yeah. Subscribe to the Relentless Talk Radio YouTube channel.
Right, button down below.
All right, Scott, you have a really fantastic day. Thanks, everybody. This is the end of episode 11 of the Video Lab, an entrepreneur's guide to creating video.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Cool.